This video is about silk versus satin. These two words are not the same thing. One is a fiber and the other is a weave. What something is made from versus how something is woven together. Once you understand the difference, everything makes so much more sense. If you buy fabrics, sew, work with textiles, or you're just a consumer that wants to know more about fibers and fabrics, then this is the video for you. So recently on my Instagram, I created a post that gave an understanding of silk versus satin. People get them mixed up all the time and they're 100% not the same thing. That particular post went crazy. I think it got around 12 million views, and that really told me something. It made me realize how important textile knowledge is, and also that it's a huge gap in the market that people don't quite understand the difference between a fiber and a weave. So let's get started. Number one, silk is a fiber. So what something is actually made of. Silk is a fiber that is made from silkworms. Silkworms are fed mulberry leaves from a mulberry tree, specifically white mulberry tree leaves. They're given so much of this food that they kind of become quite obese, and then they create the cocoon around themselves, and that cocoon is made from silk thread. Now, the larvae, so the silkworm is inside the cocoon that has the silk all the way wrapped around it. The larvae is then boiled alive. So unfortunately, the little silkworm dies. And then the continuous silk thread is unspooled, essentially. So it's one complete long thread. Silk has some really great properties. It is breathable, extremely strong for its weight. It is very lightweight, but for its weight compared to its strength, it is very strong. It's very temperature regulating. So if you wear it, your body can kind of breathe and regulate your temperature. And it's excellent for absorbing dye. So you can get some really, really beautiful colors from using silk as your fiber base. But silk does not automatically mean shiny or smooth. Silk fabrics come in so many different forms. You can get silk satin, so silk that is woven within a satin weave. You can get raw silk, silk dupion. You can get matte silks, get silk noil. Some silks are textured, some silks are matte. Some silks are very crisp. You can get silk chiffon and organza, so very flowy kind of fabrics. It's just endless because silk is the base fiber. It can get manufactured and woven in so many different ways. Now, satin is a weave, not a fiber. So satin is how the fibers are actually woven. Now, specifically, satin is a weave with long floating threads on the surface because the actual threads are floating across more opposite threads. It creates a really shiny surface. You can get satin in pretty much any fiber. So you can get polyester satin, viscose satin. You can get silk satin, acetate, nylon. It's kind of never ending. The majority of satins out there in the market are not silk. The key thing to remember is that how your fabric is woven controls the surface of the fabric. What your fabric is made of, the fiber, controls how your fabric will behave. Now, historically, satin weaves were extremely labor intensive, and they went hand in hand with silk and were woven by hand. This all originated in China. So over time, satin kind of got associated with luxury because it kind of went hand in hand with silk and a labor-intensive process. But it meant that satin still held that expensive undertone even when the fiber content changed to polyester, nylon, viscose, which are obviously much cheaper fibers. The process of sericulture, which is the production of silk, farming silkworms, creating the actual silk fibers and silk fabric, is called sericulture. This is an extremely ancient process. However, it is not ethical because there are animals involved and those animals do get killed. There are types of silk you can get. So piece silk, I think it's ahimsa silk or wild silk, where they actually kind of cut open the cocoon and remove the larvae, keep continuing to farm them. But then the issue with that is the actual silk thread ends up getting cut and then the actual filaments are shorter. So when they kind of get woven together, they're not as strong. So that's the kind of payoff you get. And it ends up being more expensive because it's even more labor intensive, actually removing the larvae from inside the silk cocoon. Now, obviously not everyone places the value of animal lives similarly. Some people think insects are right at the bottom and then it kind of like sheep, cows, in terms of wool and leather and stuff like that. But it's just so you're aware that the animals that are involved in the silk process do get killed. Do with that information what you will. Now, the hard thing with silk and satin being so interlinked like that is that people think when they're buying satin that they're buying the silk, but when it actually changes to polyester, the consumer doesn't know the difference. This video and this information is so important because it gives you agency to know what you're buying, what you're making your clothes with, how it's being produced, so you can make better decisions for yourself. When you see satin in a fabric store or you see a nice shiny blouse or dress, don't instantly think that it's going to be silk. You need to have a look at your fiber content label and see what it is made from. If it's 100% silk, then it is 100% silk satin, silk with a satin weave. If it is 100% polyester, it is a polyester satin. That way you're knowing what you're buying, what you're paying for, and what you're going to get. And also keep in mind, if it is made from a synthetic fiber like polyester, nylon, that completely changes the characteristics of the fabric. It's not going to be breathable. It's going to wash completely differently. The way you iron it or steam it is very different. Your temperatures are going to have to be completely different so you don't melt your fabric. If you love this kind of clarity around being a conscious consumer and understanding labels, how to treat fabrics, how different fabrics work and behave, then I think you'll really like my Conscious Consumer ebook. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I'll leave a link in the bio for you to have a look at that one. Now, this isn't about correcting people or telling people they're right or wrong. It's about clarifying information that gives consumers and creators agency when they're buying or making things so that you guys can make better decisions for yourself. And actually, if you're making something, you're understanding how that fabric and fiber is going to behave. And if you're buying something, you get that same information as well, because then you can care for it better and it can last longer. If this was useful for you, definitely send it to someone who might not know the difference as well, and we can share this information and then we can all know what is going on and make better decisions.